In contrast with exaggerated rationalism, let's consider another rationalism, which we will call true or correct rationalism. This is a humble rationalism. Above all, its adherents acknowledge the actual limits of human reason, and they condemn scientificism, scientism, positivism. Adherents of this rationalism recognize that human beings benefit from and rely on innumerable institutions, which have not been deliberately created, but instead have spontaneously emerged. For example, the Spanish language, Castilian Spanish. No one deliberately created it, it has evolved. The same is true of law, morality, etc. Such rationalists understand that it is not possible to improve these institutions from above without destroying them. They conceive economics as precisely the scientific study of those spontaneous processes of social cooperation. Such rationalism is contrary to Kelson's positivism. The school that is contrary to Kelson's positivism is the school of Savigny, who saw the law as an evolutionary process which emerges over many generations. Savigny was a brilliant German jurisconsult, a specialist in Roman law. He had a debate about codification with a Cartesian rationalist of French descent, Thibaut. Thibaut said the law was simply what was in the Napoleonic Code, and Savigny said no, the law came before the code and evolves based on custom. The law was not codified until very late in history. The great Roman jurisconsult was simply discovering the law that already existed and had evolved in society. Rather late in the empire, an emperor named Justinian feared the law would be lost. He said, put it in writing, and what is now known as the Corpus Iuris Civilis was compiled. But this happened rather late. The famous Napoleonic Code, Napoleon supposedly dictated. Article number 1, Article number 2. What he actually did was copy Roman law and adapt it a little to the France of his era. We are humble rationalists, rationalists who acknowledge the limits of reason. City planning provides another illustration. Who's been to Paris? Raise your hand. Okay. Who's been to London? Raise your hand. What difference is there between the two cities? France is lost. Poor French people. They're lost. Nothing but misfortunes ever come out of France. France is immersed in the exaggerated rationalism of the French Revolution, la grandeur de la France. And René Descartes, Cartesian rationalism. What's Paris like? It looks like it was drawn with a pen and ruler. The Champs-Élysées, the Place de la Concorde, Napoleon. Everything's perfectly straight, like a grid. And what's London like? London is spontaneous. You can be walking through the middle of London and suddenly there's a curved street, and nobody knows why it's curved. And some streets go like this, and others go like that. It's a spontaneous order that appears chaotic. One city reflects the tradition of exaggerated rationalism, while the other reflects that of humble evolutionary rationalism. Compare them for yourselves. And where does Spain fit in all of this? Which has had the stronger influence in Spain? Well, since the Bourbons, France. Let's clarify that. Not all the French are equally misguided. There have been a few French people who should be excluded from that description, humble, true rationalists. For example, Charles de Secondat, Baron de Montesquieu. His most important works are The Spirit of the Laws and The Persian Letters. He was a humble rationalist who condemned the exaggerated rationalism of his own country. There have also been British people who have subscribed to a brutal, exaggerated rationalism. For example, Jeremy Bentham. He was a lunatic. Among other things, he requested that after he died, his body be mummified. And you can see the guy sitting there on display at a university. It's a sight to see. Do you know what the panopticon is? Well, this man invented Big Brother. It's a prison with glass walls. Bentham claimed that approach was ideal for society. To be able to see everything everyone is doing at any moment, to observe it all from above, Big Brother, and to exert control as well, to calculate costs, profits, utility. All social decisions will be made to maximize utility. as if an authority could know from the outside what would result in utility and what would result in costs. Bentham was an extremely dangerous social engineer. He introduced the virus of the most disturbing exaggerated rationalism, of social engineering, into the English-speaking world. He was a very dangerous man, Jeremy Bentham. Though I have contrasted the Anglo-Saxon tradition of humble rationalism with the French tradition of exaggerated rationalism, I have done so in broad strokes. There are theorists who defy this division, and though they are French, they belong to the correct camp. Or, though they are English, they belong to the erroneous.